us Dr. Simmardeep Singh Gill, a distinguished alumnus of Symbiosis. He did postgraduate diploma in hospital and healthcare management in 2004. Having completed his MBBS from Silchar Medical College and Hospital, Assam, he has successfully led Fortis Mohali to achieve accreditations of Joint Commission International and National Accreditation Board for Hospitals and Healthcare Providers, and making it the first hospital in India to do so. Dr. Gill, with his rich experience, has also served as Zonal Director of Fortis Memorial Research Institute, Gurugram, Zonal Director, Fortis Hospital, New Delhi, Chief Operating Officer at Fortis Clinic, Dame in Mauritius, Head of Quality Assurance and Patient Care Services at Fortis Hospital, Mohali, Facility Director at Fortis Hospital, Bangalore, and presently, Sir is Group Chief Operating Officer at CK Birla Hospitals, Kolkata. May I now request Dr. Gill to please enlighten us further on the topic Strategic Leadership in Healthcare.
I want to spend a couple of minutes around the topic which I'm going to be discussing today. What exactly is strategic leadership in healthcare? It's a very fancy term for a very simple thing called as running efficient hospitals. Most of you I see at some point in your career in a couple of years would be running departments, would be running hospital, would be running various healthcare organizations. And it's important for you to understand what exactly is meant by running efficient hospitals and subsequently running efficient healthcare companies. So that for me, running an efficient hospital means a patient walks out happy, satisfied. A patient does not feel cheated. He's got his worth of monies of spent, and you are running a financially efficient hospital, which is your P&L is in place. These are the three things. If you manage to get these three things right, you're running an efficient hospital, by and large. When we talk of strategy in healthcare, honestly speaking, me and my colleagues in the industry right now are whatever strategy we are following in the private healthcare space is failing. We're not being able to run efficient hospitals because our strategy isn't working out. And why is that so? Because our strategy right now is around tackling headwinds, the headwinds which are facing the industry today. And when you have your strategy built around tackling headwinds for a longish period of time, you're bound to drop. Your strategy has to be around a long-term vision, around how to grow your hospital, how to grow your company, how to grow the healthcare space. Unfortunately, these headwinds, and we're going to speak of the headwinds in a couple of minutes in the subsequent slides, have gone on for too long. No one knows when are they going to end. And every healthcare player in the company, the bigger ones, the medium ones, everyone is right now trying to mitigate those headwinds. And that's not really that's not a nice space to be in. So we'll have to figure out what to do. We can't shut shop. We can't continue bleeding in terms of financials. We got to figure a way out. So for us to figure a way out, have a proper strategy in place, the most important thing is to understand what is happening in the external environment. You know, we're not the healthcare industry is not a secluded manufacturing industry which is making automobiles or televisions a factory located in a remote corner of the country or town. We are a public industry where thousands of people walk into the facility. There are regulations, there are statutory rules which are to be followed. So that's why the external environment is extremely important to all of us. So let's understand what's happening in the healthcare scenario, and then we get on to what's happening in the specific hospital business. So Rohit, in his slide, mentioned a couple of these points, and you would have seen all these data points in various forums, presentations. This looks very impressive. You know, we've got great demand, we're the largest democracy, we've got lots of doctors are required, lots of hospital beds are required, everything. So this slide, you show it in a forum, people would pump in millions of dollars thinking that's great stuff is about to happen. So that's largely what the data dynamics say as far as the healthcare industry in India is concerned. Let's see the basic statistics in terms of growth, in terms of dollars, anticipated growth till about 2025 based on various studies done by various agencies, how the middle-aged population is going to grow, how the spending class is going to grow. Those are going to be 2 million beds are going to be required. Medical tourism is going to boom, all of that. Again, a very, very rosy picture. 60 or rather 102 in 2015 is going to become 450, looks good. So this is all analysis, this is all real-time data, and this has been developed and delved into by reputed agencies, various multiple agencies. We also see there is a fair amount of work and fair amount of requirement as far as the private healthcare space is concerned. You see the private sector hospital size going up from 22 going up to 120 billion US dollars. That's what is the way the trajectory is going to go up. Similarly, you see those graphs. Fortunately or unfortunately in India, the private sector has and will continue to play a dominant role as far as providing good healthcare is concerned. Now, an interesting observation, during the course of from 2012 to 2016, lots of money got pumped in across different bigger healthcare chains, from private equity, from financial institutions, from private players, and there was these were the number of deals, that's the amount of money which got pumped in. Those are the hospitals or the healthcare chains which got funding from those various sources, and this was by and large based around hope, statistics, growth, sunshine industry, all of that. So we put data till 2016, and subsequently I'm going to come back to what's happened in the last couple of years. Now, that's the problem. Now, this is something which is real-time problem. So all these previous 5-6 slides were data points, analysis. That's to an extent now what's happening on the ground. Public spending is low because of lack of insurances beyond tier 1 towns. You see talent shortage, be it physicians, be it nurses. You know, I'll interrupt here. Last month, across 3 days, within 3 days, one of our hospitals in Calcutta lost 150 nurses to government jobs. That's the kind of exodus you come across, and that's why and then you get another 150 absolute freshers and spend months and months on training them, and then obviously the quality drops. So that's a real problem. Fragmented industry, only 20% of their it's organized. Otherwise, they're by and large dominated by smaller players in the 30 to 50 bed capacity. Lack of clinical protocols, regulatory framework, and patient activism. This is, if you were to ask me, this is the most, we'll manage all the first 5. We'll figure out something how to do. The 6th one is something which is beyond anyone's control. And we're going to come to that. So this is the real-time problem. Our strategy, because of the fact it is a problem, and when I use the word headwind at the beginning of the presentation, this is what headwind means. And the biggest and the toughest and the most challenging headwind is the trust deficit. So this is some data around some analysis and statistics done around what patients feel about healthcare providers. But the fact is, till about 5-7 years back, patients used to generally trust hospitals. Patients used to come to the hospitals thinking, okay, I'm in reasonably good hands, I'm paying money, and I'm going to get reasonably good value for my money. Today, it's not the same. 80 to 90% of the patients, or people who are not even patients, people who are just walking by the road, are generally abusing the healthcare system. and specifically the private healthcare system across the country. I've seen that happening in tier 1 towns, tier 2 towns across the country. That's our biggest problem. Your customer is not trusting you. The customer, forget about the trusting you, the customer is abusing us. The customer is saying you guys are chores. And that's the word which has been often used. They're all private hospitals are chores. Now that's our biggest problem. And honestly, I don't know how long this would take to get diluted, to get resolved completely, because till the time this doesn't get resolved, we're really not heading anywhere. We're going to go around in circles. We're going to keep on having our strategy around these problems, and nothing is going to move significantly. So let's see the recent trends. In the next slide is going to show you some numbers also. Every hospital chain is financially stressed right now. We run a 200-bed cardiac hospital in Calcutta. The stent pricing regulation of 2017 got the hospital down to its knees. It's taken us 2 years to kind of get back, stand up again. And this is not an isolated case. It's happening across the industry. If hospitals were not, Rohit's here. We're struggling to buy a cath lab, but we're figuring out whenever the P&L becomes better, whichever year we make some money, we're going to buy a cath lab. So it's a cascading effect. We're not going to be able to upgrade equipment. The upgraded equipment doesn't come in. The patients are not going to have access to high-end technology. So that's a vicious circle that's got created. So the financials are stressed. Tier 1 towns are actually getting saturated. I've worked in Gurgaon for the last 4-5 years. I think Gurgaon is a town which is absolutely saturated. It's got more hospitals than it requires. A smaller town like Jaipur has got more hospitals than it requires. So I'm not too sure whether there's a science behind setting up hospitals in these towns, or somebody just put up one hospital in Gurgaon, then everybody followed and put up 10 hospitals in Gurgaon. And now all those hospitals are trying to fill up beds by getting patients from the Central Asian countries, by paying off those doubts and all that. So that's not really a very nice healthcare model to be sitting on. Regulatory headwinds, they keep on coming up. And some strange concoction, they come up just before an election, be it a state election, be it a central election. Something or the other comes up and hits us. It takes us 6 months to recover, and by the time another election comes up. So I don't know how it might be a pure coincidence. Ayushman Bharat is, again, from a pricing perspective, it's going to pull down every tariff. Some states have taken it, some states haven't taken it, but it's going to be reality in some time from now. So it's going to pull down tariffs. We're going to work around a strategy around that. Home health care, this is something new and encouraging. Let's look at the market returns of some of the top players over the last 2 years. So all these, while the Nifty has moved up by 23%, all the major players in the country have dropped. So if you'd bought Apollo shares in 2017, you would have lost some money. And that's the case for every group. So there is a problem. And most of the P&Ls I've seen are actually running at a single-digit EBITDA right now. So some of the most established, reputed single tertiary care specialty hospitals have run into negative EBITDAs in the last 2 years. So not really a great situation to be in. But that's reality. I don't mean to stand here and tell everyone that, look, everything is great, it's the sunshine industry. It is currently going through a turbulent phase. And we need to be prepared. We need to be well aware of how to go past this turbulent phase, because it's an industry which is never going to die. But we need to get past this turbulent time. And you see all these costs are going up. After 2016, we saw data till 2016. The last 2 years have again seen, or rather the last 1 year, has again seen a fair bit of money coming in. You see Fortis, IHH, we've seen Max, KKR, we've seen Metanta almost with TPG. So there are players who are coming in. Private promoters are exiting. So there is activity happening. They will bring in best practices of be it clinical governance, be it service excellence, and I think the dust should settle down in let's say 1 to 2 years, and the whole thing should take off again. Again, regulatory headwinds. So a lot of specialities which have been impacted by headwinds were specialities which are key to a hospital's revenue driving growth. I mean, orthopedics is under NPPA, the knee implants are under NPPA guidelines. A cardiac hospital, stents, balloons, pacemakers probably any time now, everything is under NPPA guideline. So all of that has come under a lot of stress. Another problem which is coming up is, which I see is, we've been thinking that the only thing, one of the most important thing which we are able to control in our system is our pricing. Let's say I run a restaurant. I decide how much do I want to charge for a bowl of rice and for a bowl of dal, because it's my restaurant. No, I can charge 100 rupees, I can charge 500 rupees because I feel I serve great quality, blah, blah. Unfortunately, in our system, healthcare industry or in any hospital now, this is not possible, because even if we were to be making price changes as per what we want and what we presume our system to be, the only price which is under your control is around 30 to 35%. The rest of the 65% tariff or price is either ECHS or CGHS or a GIPSA or a TPA control. So your power on pricing is only limited to 35%. And if we keep on increasing that 35%, that 35% cash segment, that is cross-subsidizing for those ECHS, the credit business, which is again not a healthy model. You're ending up penalizing the cash-paying patient for the credit patient just in order to ensure that your P&L or your bottom line remains intact. So that's again something which we need to work on, because with every passing year I have seen in the last couple of years, GIPSA, if all of you know, is actually all the 4 government insurance companies, they've got together and formed a union from a pricing perspective. It's called the GIPSA price. So starting with ECHS, subsequently CGHS, then came GIPSA. Every year, something or the other comes up which lowers the price point by around 8 to 10%. And Ayushman Bharat is going to lower the price point further down. What happens is, your cash patient is sitting here, normal TPA is sitting, or an corporate insurance is sitting here, your GIPSA or an Ayushman is here. Everyone is going to say, if you're going to give him 100 rupees, why should I pay 200? So only the cash paying patient, which as it is only 30%, is going to stay at 200 rupees. Everyone, even the person who's sitting at 150 today, let's say an ICICI Lombard or a Bajaj or whosoever, is going to demand that Ayushman price. Either a Ayushman or a GIPSA or whatever, the lowest price. So we've got to brace ourselves that whatever lowest price point is set by whosoever is something which everyone is going to demand, and I don't think we would have, as healthcare operators or hospital runners, we would have an option to say no. And so that's going to be the biggest challenge. How do we continue? In a couple of slides back, we saw the 10% growth in running cost, electricity cost. So how do we manage while your revenue is coming down? How do we, and your costs, annual costs, increment costs, everything is going up. How do we manage to sustain? So there are opportunities. So this was external environment. This is a bit of a reality check, all these slides we saw. But having said all of that, let me pick up medical tourism first. The kind of valuation India offers, I think the amount of medical tourism, business, revenue, and the number of patients in India, 10 times more than it's currently getting. So that's a great and a huge opportunity. We still have immense opportunity to create more infrastructure. When I speak of infrastructure, I think the days of fancy infrastructure are over. You know, people who build hospitals have to build, even they could be the richest people in the country. If they want to build efficient hospital, the days of 5-star hospital are over. They've got to build 3-star, efficient, neat, clean, without fancy and frail hospital. Only those hospitals are going to be financially viable. Or the 5-stars are not going to sustain because of too much of, you saw it worked in FMRI Gurgaon. If any of you have seen that hospital, once one of the fanciest hospitals in India, it runs an electricity bill of 1 crore a month. Unsustainable. And that's it. I mean, it's so fancy. It's got massive atriums, air-conditioned lobbies, this, that, blah, blah. So it's not going to be possible to be doing all this. Because, I mean, when it was built, none of this existed. None of the headwinds existed. So now we've got advantage of hindsight, and whatever we want to do has to be done with a thought that the fancy and the frill stuff is not going to work. It has to be basic, functional, efficient, and centered around patient experience and patient's clinical well-being. Insurance penetration, population is, less of population is covered but it's a little bit of a double whammy because the more insurance which comes into the system also lowers your revenue retrieval. So these 4 or 5 things are what I think are the opportunities for us. There is huge amount of scope in terms of still lots of patients who want to come to decent facilities. So this is something which could be captured. You know, I'll present a little slide on one of our hospitals in Calcutta. This is CMRI. CMRI is, if any been to Calcutta, know about Calcutta, is called Calcutta Hospital. It's it's running into its 50th year. It's a trust-based hospital, 450 beds. Has been kind of doing business over the last, in different models. It used to be a tertiary care, dropped to a primary care, is again back to a secondary care. We want to take it back to its tertiary care level and stuff like that. But last year, if you talk of 17-18 numbers, it was almost zero in terms of EBITDA. So it does a revenue of around 200 odd crores in a month and just about 1 or 2 crore EBITDA. So just about breaking even. From days where it used to be really healthy, 20-25% EBITDA and all that. So last year our entire team sat down and took it upon as a mission to fix this hospital. It's going to be a long-winded journey. It's going to take us 4 or 5 years to do that. But we took up the simple stuff first. And I'm very happy to share that we're going to close this year at a 10% EBITDA. A hospital which did 2 crore bottom line last year is going to close at around 24-25 crore. That's not happened with any fancy, great investment or a strategy or anything. Basic stuff. Basic stuff to ensure, what's happening? Okay, so this probably means time up. No, okay. I think those guys started pulling the plug out, okay. I said, no, they're sleeping. No, they're not. No, I really thought this is a signal for me to sure. So if you see, these are the 5 basic levers around which you can run an efficient hospital. I started off the presentation saying, what is strategy? What is healthcare leadership? It's no great rocket science. It's the art and the ability to run an efficient hospital, which in turn means running an efficient healthcare organization. And these 4 levers, if we were to look at, and believe me, every hospital in this country, be it a 2-year-old, be it a 50-year-old hospital, is sitting on flab today. It is sitting on extra manpower. It is sitting on procurement, which is being done by vendors over the period of years. And if you get into it, start negotiating properly, there is margin sitting out of here. Clinician engagement, look, there are so another thing which I missed out, also what has happened is, over the years, and this is in larger cities and larger private healthcare players, the clinician model of payout payment in some places has gone berserk, which is also, I mean, I am a doctor myself, I hate to admit this, but we as managers have actually ended up ruining the clinician payout model. It's gone berserk. We've ended up bloating or inflating that bucket too much. That needs to be regularized. And I've seen that happening in Gurgaon and Delhi. It's crazy, the amounts which end up getting paid. And it's not based on any rationale. It's just because, okay, he was paying him 10 lakhs, I'm going to pay him 20. Okay, you paid him 20, I'm going to... The guy in the middle of the whole this is gaining every year. So that needs to be fixed. If you look at all these models, fixable. And ultimately, patient experience. You know, our services need to improve. Patients keep on coming back. You can lesser your spend on marketing and these really expensive sales activities. And this circle falls into place with the right mix of right things which we do. A hospital which can turn efficient. For me, I believe the days of those mid-20 EBITDAs and all are over. I don't think they're coming back anytime soon. But for a single specialty hospital, let's say a cardiac hospital, if it were to be doing a 15-17% EBITDA in the current day and age, I would be reasonably happy. A tertiary care multi-specialty hospital, if it touches 18 to 20%, I'll be reasonably happy. We need to get to that level, hold our breath, hopefully have the headwinds die down soon, and then think of the largest long-term strategy. There is great hope, there is great potential. India has enough demand right now, supply, barring these little towns, some pockets of the country where there has been a bit of an oversupply. There's enough lack of supply. But it has to be dealt in a strategic and in a very common sense oriented manner. That's what I wanted to say, my little bit in a fairly simple language around what is happening in the hospital space today, what is expected, how to deal with it. I'll be happy to take questions if any.
Excuse me, sir. Yeah, my question is, by using these techniques, we can...
It'll be good if you could introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Ashish Varghese. I'm working as a marketing manager in CMC Hospital, Ludhiana. We had into this technique and trying to improve the revenue generation. With these techniques, we can improve the patient satisfaction level and efficiency in the workforce and all. But how to increase the patient number? Like at present, we are
Listen,
facing...
you and I won't be standing here if we knew that. We would be sitting in some great forum giving gyan. If I knew how to increase the patient number, I've solved the riddle of my life.
Yes. at present, we are facing the, like you have started with, we are trying to approach for a short-term benefits. We are trying to compete with each other in the field, like with the marketing only, and trying to improve the number of patients walk-in and plus inpatients. So what do you say that will this model help in increasing the numbers?
You know, you work out of a hospital which has a great reputation in the country. So half your job is already done. CMC, both Vellore and Ludhiana have a very good reputation. Secondly, I firmly believe, and I've always believed, one satisfied patient who walks in is going to send 50 other patients. And all these billboards, hoardings, this, that is okay. But ultimately, get your systems in the hospital right. I started off saying the patient should walk out happily thinking that he's been treated well, clinically well. He should think he's not been fleeced. He's got value for his money. If we get these two things right, everything will fall into place. You don't need to bother about anything else.
Sir, Vinod here.
Yeah.
Non-medico, work in the IT healthcare space. My question is, so one of the things that you said is the days of five-star hospitals are done. What is your view about large multi-speciality versus smaller single specialty or like a polyclinic kind of setup? So do you think those will survive?
Oh, yeah. Both have their own value. Both, I mean, it's not possible to set up large multi-speciality hospitals in every place by everyone. So, in fact, I've always felt that specialties like ophthalmology, dental, and a couple of others run and do much better when they are as standalone facilities. Rather than these big, what happens is the tendency of tertiary care hospitals, and we as managers, we tend to focus on the PTCAs and the CABGs and the TKRs of the world, and the smaller specialties get ignored. So I've believed the standalone, and pediatrics also, by the way, standalone pediatric centers, standalone opthal centers, standalone dental centers are far more efficient and far more patient-centric than they inside a little tiny corner of a big, massive hospital. So both have their own value and both will sustain, no doubt about that. Yeah, we had someone here.
Programs. Any experience of these hospitals?
I'll tell you, the research funding, research, trials, this doesn't augment revenue in my experience. This augments the stature of the hospital. Your academic programs, all of that, which in turn augments when your stature goes high, you become, from a nursing home, you convert into a hospital to an institution. Automatically the level of clinical programs you run goes high, and that in turn translates into revenue. So it's a circle which leads to a higher revenue.
Second part, the community outreach programs.
Community outreach, yes. I think every hospital today, be it in tier 1 towns, is reaching out. I mean, from Calcutta, we are going up right into Jharkhand and in parts of right up till eastern Uttar Pradesh also. So this helps. At times, most of the companies take this as a CSR, some take it as a marketing or a sales activity, but most of people who are working in the sales and marketing departments of their hospital are not confined to their towns or cities. They're going out, venturing at 200, 300 kilometers, all of them.
Thank you.
I should congratulate you, Dr. Gill, that you said simple terms being expressed in a fancy manner. Why do we do it? I don't know. I, as a teacher for last 55 years, I feel we should use simple terms so that everything is clear. That is one very important factor.
But sir, if simple terms are used in here, then I won't be invited to convert it into a seminar.
No. Yeah. That is what I want to say. Is it a marketing strategy? that I use complicated terminology so that I get invited and I speak something better. That is my one. I should congratulate you on that. I want to know one thing. As a doctor, I took an oath known as Hippocratic oath.
Right.
We said that I will not harm the patient, I will not make money at the cost of the patient. On the other side, I now for last 13 years, I am hearing marketing, the intelligence technology, artificial intelligence, this particular gadget, that particular gadget, ROI, return on investment. And you yourself said 19 to 20% profit. Are we supposed to be doing that? Are we meant to make 20% profit? And that is the reason your other answer to your question, I'm sorry, I might be thrown out of this hall.
No, don't worry.
And I don't mind that because I have been thrown out number of times. You see, what I want to know is, why are we looking for return on investment? Why are we not remembering Hippocrates? As doctors, why are we interested in making 30% profit, 40% profit?
No.
And hospitals in urban areas.
So, sir, I'll tell you.
This is my biggest worry. I am at the end of my life. Please remember Hippocrates. Please do not make money at the cost of the public.
Sir, let me answer this.
And over-specialization.
Let me
You have over-specialization in the corporate hospitals, which is causing the taxpayer more money because the patient has to pay more.
So,
देखना नहीं देखना सर्जन भी आ रहा है, साइकेट्रिस्ट भी आ रहा है, सभी आ रहे हैं. What are the coming?
no, sir, let me address this. This is a very simple, this is a query which comes up often and it gets sensationalized without a rhyme or reason. Medical technology comes at an extremely high cost. And all of you know medical technology gets obsolete very fast. We spoke of MRIs and CT scans a couple of hours back. They cost crores and crores of rupees. So somebody set up a hospital, let's say. The person who set up a hospital is not going to, unless it's a philanthropic activity, which lots of people, industrialists are doing in our country, the person expects the hospital to maintain itself and run in a fiscally efficient manner. When I say 20% let's say 15% bottom line, a hospital which does 100 crore revenue, and that's a biggish hospital by the way, every year, if it was to generate 15 crore profit at the end of every year, can you imagine the amount of money which needs to be plowed back in buying equipment? Today you want to run a liver transplant program. Yesterday I was doing a capex budget for next year. The surgeons want 1 crore rupees of LTP equipment. The cardiologist wants an FFR and in EVAS which costs another 1 crore. There is someone somebody wants a hybrid cath lab. Who's going to fund all this? The hospital has to generate money, and that money is not to be going out in someone's pocket for him or her to buy his choppers and cars. That money is going to be plowed back into the system. Let's be very clear. Whosoever is setting up hospitals, be it Indian entrepreneurs or be it all the PE funds, are not here to sink in money every year. They want a decent return on their investments and they want their hospitals to run financially independently and stably. Let's be very clear about that. So if I'm an industrialist, I've set up a hospital worth 100 crore today in a tier 2 town. Do you think I'm going to keep on pumping 10 crore every year in that hospital unless it's my family's vision of a philanthropy or a charity? No. A couple of years down the line, I want that. Okay, I don't want money out of it. But I want that thing and that organization to run efficiently.
Good afternoon, doctor.
Good afternoon.
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Okay, sorry.
This is Somnath. I'd been working as a chief technologist and manager in cath lab in Niyati, Mathura. Would I be continuing in Hindi? Would it be fine enough?
Of course, why not?
Actually, मेरा 25 years हो गया. I had been in Zydus, Ahmedabad, Before that, I had been in Krishna, GMRI, Gujarat Research and Medical Institute, R&T और Calcutta. तो 25 years के experience में मैंने ये चीज़ देखा. I am basic and I am also ex-politician in Mohali. Starting, I know you very well. From 99 onwards, till 2004 or 5, whatever. तो मैंने जो experience किया है कि corporate, I rather support corporate hospitals. I love to work in that. But मैंने somehow देखा है कि इतना data based, इतना research based data बनाने के बाद भी corporate hospitals बिक रहा है. But Gangaram still stands, Batra still stands, Jaipur Golden still stands, and your CMRI also, it's running for 50 years of the age. And Calcutta Woodlands and Bellevue and Gujarat. So what is the main reason?
So what is the difference between Gangaram, CMRI?
They are also having IVAS. They are also having cath lab, integrated cath lab, 3D rotational. ये जितना upgraded ये है वो बत्रा में भी है, गंगाराम में भी है. As per my knowledge,
they're running more efficiently. If you look at the model, those hospitals are running more. They're being run in a simple, efficient manner.
तो मैं यही बता रहा हूँ कि इतना रिसर्च बेस्ड डाटा बेस करने के बाद सुनने में थियोरिटिकली इट्स मोर इफेक्टिव, मतलब वी शुड मोर इफेक्टिव ऑन दैट, बट समहाउ इट डजंट वर्क इन द सिस्टम.
ऐसी बहुत सी कंपनियां हैं जिनको रिसर्च करना है होता है ना, जिनका काम है, तो उनको भी तो काम करना है.
ठीक है, बट वो काम करने के बाद वो इफेक्टिविटी सोसाइटी को डिलीवर होना चाहिए. मैक्स इतना काम किया, फोर्टिस इतना काम किया, और भी जो हॉस्पिटल्स है काम किया, बट दे आर अबाउट टू सोल्ड और व्हाटएवर सोल्ड.
No. They are about to be sold because of different reasons. That's got nothing to do with the day-to-day running of the hospital.
But technical advancement हम लोग इस हॉस्पिटल से देखे थे, तो they should remain in the system actually. Rather Gangaram be.
So that's what I was saying earlier. You got to run efficient hospitals, and when we say efficient, right from the doctor cost, starting biggest point. A doctor cost in a Gangaram and a Max is hugely different. That's the problem from where the starting point. To the negotiation, to the air conditioning cost, to your bijli ka bill, everything. So Hanupriya is just pushing me
Thanks a lot. Thank you so much.
off the stage. I think we'll catch up over tea. I should. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. I would like to request Dr. Vijay Natarajan, CEO, Symbiosis University Hospital and Research Center, to please felicitate Dr. Gill.